Former Stanford University student Brock Turner is sentenced to 6 months in jail and 3 years of probation for sexually assaulting an unconscious woman. But for many on the Stanford campus, the case is far from closed. Here with more details is Wall Street Journal higher education reporter Melissa Korn. Melissa, thanks so much for joining us. This case certainly has caused quite an uproar in the days since the sentencing. Can you bring us up to speed on what's happened?
Sure. So Brock Turner was sentenced on Thursday of last week, and in the past few days, the victim's impact statement was shared publicly and went viral online. A letter from the father of Mr. Turner went out online as well and caused quite a stir. There's now a campaign to recall the judge because people have complained that his sentence was too lenient. There are planned protests on campus, and this is not going away.
It's not going away. You mentioned the victim's impact statement, which has made quite an impact, both online, where it was published in its entirety. It was read by a CNN anchor. We have a little bit of it here. She says, "I was the wounded antelope of the herd, completely alone and vulnerable, physically unable to fend for myself, and he chose me." Then she goes on to say, "How fast he swims does not lessen the impact of what happened to me." Is what's at the root of the matter here is that there is a sense that there was favorable sentencing, more lenient sentencing given to him because he was a swimmer, because he was a Stanford student?
Right. There is definitely concern that his privilege put him in a privileged position, that he got off a little easier because he had lost the scholarship, he had lost the opportunity to continue attending Stanford, and maybe that was just enough punishment. Now,
you mentioned earlier that there's been an effort to recall the judge in this case, Judge Aaron Persky. Do we know if that's likely?
It's a long shot. Judges are very rarely recalled. A recall vote rarely even makes it to a ballot. It requires a lot of signatures, a lot of fundraising, but the people behind this recall effort potentially do have a lot of money. They're being supported by a California super PAC that got mobilized right away. So we'll see what happens, but it likely won't be until months from now before anything starts to kick into gear.
And do we have any concrete details about the protests that are planned? Has graduation already happened on the Stanford campus?
So the Stanford graduation is this coming Saturday, and a bunch of students have begun to plan some sort of protest activity. We don't know all the details yet. They're still working it out. We don't know how disruptive it'll be, but it's a group that's calling itself 20 Minutes, or some kind of a...
Based on that little quote in the father's...
Right. So the father essentially said that his son shouldn't be punished for 20 minutes of action.
Very unfortunate choice of words, if nothing else. Do we know what could happen in the fall? Do you think that this could continue to resonate in the fall?
So students aren't stopping talking about this just because they're in the middle of finals or heading on summer break. So Stanford administrators are expected to continue to amp up their sexual assault support programs, prevention and support, I should say. And students will continue to ask questions of the administrators. They've asked for a really thorough analysis of just how often incidents of sexual violence occur on campus.
Indeed, it does not seem this is going away anytime soon, and rightfully so. Melissa Korn, thank you so much for that.